Hello and welcome back for another match of Vintage with Bugfish. We are on the draw against former StarCityGames columnist Stephen Menendian of more Vintage fame than I can really do fairness to. So, suffice it to say that he's probably real good at the format, and if I had to guess, is probably playing like some sort of fidgety blue deck. So, we're obviously going to keep this since we have a force-backed recall. Looks like he's playing Oath. So, we have Abrupt Decay for Oath, which is what I was alluding to earlier in terms of like really liking it. Our opponent has Dark Ritual off of Oath of Druids, which is not typical of Oath, so shifting assessment to 5-color Storm. Lotus is also fine. I think we're just on the counter their action plan. Like if they kick off with recall, with ritual rather, I think that we just have to counter their action. So, yeah, another ritual. So they could make 10 goblins here. And like I'm trying to think of whether or not we can beat 10 goblins. I don't think we can. And I don't know whether or not like he plays like the only way that we get punished for forcing Burning Wish is if he has exactly Yawgmoth's Bargain. Because like any other thing, like if it costs 5 or less, then he just like gets duress and then like duresses us and casts his spell. So I think that we're playing around more by forcing it. The next question is what we want to force pitching. Obviously not pitching recall, so it's either Mystical or Snapcaster. I would like to pitch Mystical since I think we can use Snapcaster to kill them, whereas Mystical just like gets another force, which isn't really what we want to be doing when our opponent is on empty. So he had another Burning Wish, and presumably this one's going to go for empty for 14. Or Wheel of Fortune, but I can't imagine putting a restricted card in your sideboard. I can imagine, like it sort of depends on what his last card is. I'd be surprised if we didn't get emptied here. But if we aren't getting emptied, then we're almost certainly just dying for sure. Like, empty's gotta be great in Vintage, right? Oh, sure, will. Okay, putting Yawgmoth's Will in your sideboard is reasonable if you have Burning Wish. So yeah, you just will get back Ritual, Ritual, Lotus, Burning Wish again for Tendrils and Tendrils. Right, Ritual 1, 2, 3, Burning Wish is 4, countered is 5, Wish is 6, Will is 7, Ritual, Ritual, Lotus is 8, 9, 10, Wish into Tendrils, so we're gonna get hit for 24 here. Classic turn winning. Head 4 still died easily. It's also fascinating that, like, given the texture of his hand, he couldn't actually get Yawgmoth's Will until we forced the first Burning Wish. Because Burning Wish exiles itself. So, like, that's also kind of awesome. But yeah, anyway. Pretty straightforward stuff going on here. I think we probably just want, like, all of the stuff that interacts on the cheap. So, like, this stuff in. All the 3-drops and the removal out. Can't imagine that Decay is, like, better than a bunch of other stuff. I also imagine Null Rod's going to be awesome against him. Like, even though we're boarding in Flusterstorm, if we have Null Rod, then it's just, like, a complete kicking. We can probably get, like, a Yixlid Jailer or something in there. Cards in graveyards lose all abilities. What is an ability? I don't really want to gamble on ability being game text. Like, I don't know how Yixlid Jailer interacts with Yawgmoth's Will, or if that's even, like, something that we want, that we are interested in. We can probably just, like, make do with a Trigon Predator. Okay. This is just fine. We are going to Mystical for Force of Will and tap out for Dark Confidant on turn 2. And that's going to be, like, the spot where if he wants to try and kill us, then, like, he has an opportunity to, but I can't really see a way to win where we aren't tapping for Dark Confidant on turn 2. Like, hold up a bunch of 1-mana counters forever is not my idea of, like, how to win games of Magic, no matter what format you're playing. Maybe we just pierce this, like, pierce this, take our turn, hope that his hand isn't very good, and then we untap with Wasteland plus Flusterstorm. It's certainly an aggressive line, but we have to get our Confidant into play, and Ponder theoretically sets up, like, 2 cards, whereas, like, now he's just living off of the top of his deck, and we didn't die on turn 1, so there's a decent chance that he doesn't have us dead here. Yeah, so seeing Time Walk from him here is also just, like, a really encouraging sign. Because it means that he's just, like, trying to redraw and doesn't have a continuous effect. I'm a huge fan of letting Time Walk resolve when it just like doesn't do anything but untap their lands and draw them another card. It even has the nifty side effect of giving us a spirit. So like, after Bob's trigger resolves, we can, if we hit a blue source, then we can Mystical for force. Otherwise, we might as well just keep up Fluster Storm. I'm also not enamored of wastelanding him anymore. Like, the Time Walk did make our wasteland worse. So like, if we don't die here, we're advantaged. We just have to play tight and cut our opponent off of like stuff to do. So I think that we actually just have to pull the trigger on wastelanding after thinking about it a little more. Like, they're a combo deck. White mana is not really a way to start going off. So, blue and red. Wheel of Fortune. That, okay. I'm actually fine with that. They get a land drop, but we just get to draw toward a bunch of sweet stuff, and Jesus, he shipped a broken hand. Okay, so he could have tinkered, but didn't. And he could have recalled, but didn't. I'm gonna trust that he knows exactly what he's doing. Wow, that is a lot of restricted cards. Which is, like, the point of Storm, right? Like, this is the first deck that we played, and it's very good. Added upside of Snapcaster Mage, their Wheel of Fortunes, very good for us. Oh man, I was about to ask if he had like Oath in this deck, just like the transform. Yep. Oh, he does. That's awesome. Yep, that's excellent. So let's play our mocks. I assume he's going to like Oath into Gristlebrand. Which we probably can't beat. The Storm Oath deck is not one with which I'm particularly familiar. So, hats off to Mr. Menendian. So we can Snapcaster... We can Snapcaster a Mystical, but, like, we cut our Decays. Our Trigon's in our graveyard. And we didn't board in Nature's Claims. We have Thoughtseize, Flusterstorm, and Niles. The Spellbomb is looking really ugly here. I guess we can play Spellbomb and hope that he doesn't have a way to kill us without his graveyard. So he's gonna Oath. And our Nile might just be able to cover. It's not the most unlikely thing that's ever happened. Like, it sort of depends on what he flips through. So yeah, he hits Gristlebrand. Loses the flip, and yeah, we just have to Nile and hope to hit a Force of Will. And like, he's got a lot of good stuff in his graveyard. We severely messed up by not having Snapcaster for Mystical. But still just going to crack off this Spellbomb. Draw Force, so good spot there. Can't realistically attack. Jesus, it is hard to beat a Gristlebrand. Okay, so we're going to discard a Wasteland. only Oath of Druids were mandatory. Unfortunately, it's not. So I think we have to cast Snapcaster. He can't like draw 7 because we just kill him on the crackback. Like he has to be confident that he wins off of a draw 7. So I think we Mystical for recall. Although I am certainly open to seeing better options in the deck. I don't think we have that many. Like, oh, we can Mystical for walk. That is. Alright. Cool. 4, 7, yeah, okay. Mystical for walk kills him. We did put Time Walk in our deck, right? There it is. Okay. It's funny what an extra turn will do for you. So yeah, we can force pitching Misstep. We can Misstep his Misstep. We've just like got all of his counters covered unless he has Flusterstorm. And even then we can like pay, cast Misstep, cast Misstep. So we have to survive our own Bob for some amount of time, but fortunately we don't have like a curve that goes all the way to 4. So we're just dodging, drawing 3 forces. So we're like 1 in 13 and then, oh no, because we're going to get 2 cards out of our deck. And the first one is for sure a Time Walk. So we're going to go to 8, and then we have to dodge. Yeah, no, there's just no way we die. Well, actually, we're going to pay a bunch of life here. So yeah, we flashback Mystical. I guess he probably draws 7 here. His attack might have been a little ambitious. hard casting Force of Will? Okay, so he's hard casting Force of Will. We force back pitching Pierce because Pierce is just dead against like Krypton, etc. And misstep counters mystical, so if that's the action that he's got, then our missteps cover his missteps. Like, I would expect to see a Gristlebrand draw 7 here. But okay. So this is what we've got going on. And yeah, even if he... Yeah, I guess if... Yeah. We just had him dead if he draws 7. So... Now that we know what the game is, it's pretty clear that Nullrod is still good, but that the important stuff is being able to cover his angles. I think. Like, Sabotage is narrow. I think Pierce is probably narrow, but like, sort of have to keep it. Nile seems great if he's wishing for Yogwill. I'm also not sold on like needing a ton of decays. Probably 3, not all 4. This is a very inexact sort of science. Also not super thrilled with Deathrite Shaman. So, just going to keep a little bit of everything in the deck. And send it back in as is. That seems right. Well, I cannot imagine ever mulliganing this hand. Not ever. If he has like Oath with Force backup, we actually still have outs. Like, we can still draw our decays now. And if he doesn't establish Oath very quickly, then we can establish Predator and shut down his Oath angle. And then we have like Demonic for whatever we need. Probably Ancestral. I'm more worried about him timing out, mostly because I think that this match is awesome. Black Lotus, I accept. It's possible that we're just supposed to force the Lotus, but like... who knows? We have Misstep for Duress, and then like Force plus blue card, so I'm not worried about that angle. Yeah, still okay with him playing mana. I'm actually happy cutting him off of black here. I think that that's fine. Because like now he has to have another black producer and then another piece of action, and then the last card has to also be a piece of action. And he has to be able to cast all of this. fine letting this one resolve, since he has to have 2 more pieces of mana to make empty good, and we can just force whatever he gets otherwise. Yeah, like we get to force a will this. Or Flusterstorm it. Or Thoughtseize it, Jesus. Yeah, take his Yawgmoth's Will. His Misdirection and Oath. Yeah, Misstepping Ritual is great. I am fine countering shipping Flusterstorm, since he has Misdirection, and if we draw a mana source, then we just eat his Soul Ring and more or less knock him out of the game with Demonic for Ancestral. So this one's tough, since we can Demonic for Ancestral, we can hold up Spell Pierce. Like, I think we have to cast Demonic this turn. Like, he for sure has nothing. It's whether or not, like, establishing Trigon is better than something else, or whether we should just Demonic for something and hold up Spell Pierce. I think we just Demonic for a land to be, like, really awkwardly real with you here. That just, it feels like it can't possibly be right. If I could have anything in the world right now, however, I think a tropical island would be really close. And it might just be that a Force of Will is better, but I would rather just play small ball. Then we Trigon his Mox, and all is right with the world. I would like to use the ability. See how we Time Walk. We run this. Exile his graveyard and have Snapcaster Walk and Snapcaster Demonic available. So I think we're favorites here. We also have Snapcaster Thoughtseize, but he has misdirection, so I'm not really thrilled about running that. I'm happy brainstorming. I think that this is a good addition to the deck. Not a very good brainstorm, however. Happy just putting back both bayous, attacking and passing, and then drawing a bayou and snapcastering, probably time walk, and then wait, is that target player? Okay, it's just taking another turn. I'm checking, man. He has misdirection. Like, we're definitely not snapcastering demonic for ancestral with an opposing misdirection. So it's probably just snapcaster walk. And I don't know. I think we're in a good spot. Pretty happy just piercing this and forcing him to have a bunch of other stuff. Just more free mana and something to do all of it with. So that is how you beat Storm Oath Hybrid. I'll be right back.